All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is February 3rd, 2018. This is a Saturday morning webinar, and the title of today's webinar is Knowing Just Where to Enter the Trade. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk, therefore there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we have, our live trading room, or anything else should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we'll go ahead and get started. All right, so let's diagnose our chart first off, okay? I want everybody to leave here today with a really good idea of where to get in a trade, just simply by looking at this chart even. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to diagnose this chart and we're going to decide, what we would do in a situation like we have right now. Okay, so I think it's pretty obvious that right now anyway that you're in a downtrend. I mean in an uptrend, wouldn't you think? I mean it's pretty much higher highs and higher lows, but it's starting to top out right up here. But anyway, what I personally like to do, and I know every one of you know this, is that I like to draw on my charts, okay? If you would draw a line like right there, okay, that would be a good area that if that actually breaks, you would probably want to be looking at, very possibly a break to the downside if it came back and kissed and rolled, that is. And if you don't know where the price is right now because I've got a blank chart, but let's just say that this was to go up and then come back and kiss right across here, wouldn't you think? Because that's actually, if that was to bust up, that is. So that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at something like that. Okay. So basically what we'd be doing would be deciding, okay, are we going to take this to the upside after a break? Or are we going to be taking it to the downside after a break? And on every chart, you've got to realize that in your mind and be ready to enter the trade, to take the trade. Okay, that's pretty much the way I see that chart right there. Okay, now with the actual prices here, we'll probably see it even better, but I just wanted to show you kind of how I diagnose a chart like that. Okay, because to me, if that was to bust up above this area here and come back down to it, that should be a support area, right? And if this was to break this area here, this would be breaking support, kissing resistance, and rolling over. Okay, so no matter what chart you look at, this is just pretty much what you're looking at. Even if you're sideways, you can still see this same thing. Okay, because you're going to be looking at support and resistance, and you're going to be looking for those, either buying support and selling resistance in a range, obviously with predictors, or for the break. Okay, now we teach the break, then the retracement. We don't teach the break as far as taking the trade, because a lot of times those can be fake. Now the way I personally like to do it is if, let's say for instance, it broke 82.80, okay, and I decide to go ahead and go, I'm going to go at 82.80 with literally a close of a bar, or even possibly a couple of ticks, and then try to get a scalp. Okay, and if it goes against me at all, I'll know that it's just wicking this and it's going to take off. Okay, so that's really important in your trading. Now let's look at the actual chart and let's see if we can tell what's going on. Okay, here's your actual chart right here. Now notice that I drew the line like right here. Okay, that's where that line was. Let's go ahead and change this. Matter of fact, let's just do it. I've got to get this changed one of these times. I want to actually get this drawing tool to where when I draw a red line under here, it would be where you would short it. And if you drew a blue line, it would be a long. But anyway, we won't do that right now. Okay, so this is pretty much what I see right here. And we saw it on the blank chart just as easily. This is above resistance right now, right? Okay, so if this was to decide to bust up, I usually like for it to bust up, you know, a little bit to where you can get a thrust, not just right above it like that. You know, a little bit more of a thrust, and then something like that, and then something like that. And then you'd box it in. And more than likely by then, you'd probably have your midband up here anyway. Okay? That's pretty much the way I would look at it. Then I would look at it this way and this way. Because keep in mind that what you're really looking at on your charts at all times is actually just the lightning, right? You're looking at the lightning swings. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Some people are new in here too. Bear with me a second. Let me get my Skype out of the way. I don't know why it's there. And I'm going to get our little lightning chart. All right. Isn't this actually what we're looking at? You know, on a little bit shorter scale, so to speak. You know, this is lightning 3 right here. If we were looking at something on this chart, we'd be expecting it to come down into support, for instance, and take a bounce again, right? If we were looking at this chart over here and trading a little bit more the quicker chart, we'd probably be looking for it to come down into here, which it did, and take off. And the next time it would probably come down into here or even here. Okay, so that's what you're looking at on your charts, literally at all times. Okay, you're going to be looking just the way we teach it, and then take a trade. And let's see if this doesn't actually work in the real-time stuff. I went ahead and just threw a chart on here at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because this is kind of when the other market, you know, kind of gets going. So we're going to kind of see what's going to go on. So let's just see real quick, and we won't even put Object Trader on the chart just yet. I want you just to see what happens, and then you tell me if you would get a trade. Okay, we broke support. You know, we're kind of popping up. There we go. Okay, this is basically closer to the open of the market right here. Okay, so now what are we looking at right this very moment? Anybody? We're looking at it just right at support, aren't we? Now, do we have a red stealth yet? I don't think so, but we'll probably get one here in a minute if a bar closes. Let's just go ahead and speed it up again and see what happens. This is one thing that you don't want to do, is to take a trade. To give an example, let's say that you take a trade where it just barely comes up and you try to get it right here. If you're going to do that, I'd highly recommend, you know, taking the bar close and scalping it for 3 or 4 ticks. You know, I wouldn't really like this trade here, for instance, until it took it up here some, pulled it back into like mid-band or so, and then took off. And the same here. What would you do with this trade right here? Anybody? Let's see. I can see your questions today. Kenneth? Yes. Yeah, ask away. Anything anybody wants to know. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're at mid-band right now, right? We're at the mid-band. You know, are we going to decide to go long here? What are we going to do? Anybody? What's the plan? Now, what I personally like to do here is something like this. See resistance right here? See where you have a little thrust, retrace thrust? I usually like to personally box it like this. Something like that. And usually, so they don't just fake me in, I usually like to go even a few ticks, just maybe a couple of ticks or so underneath a swing, something like that. So I'd take a long above and a short below. Yeah, now you could actually just simply only go the other way until it does break. But keep in mind, sometimes they'll break and they'll just go. I mean, I've seen that so many times too, that they'll just go. But usually if they're kind of slopping around, they don't. They'll break support and then they'll kiss it as resistance. Okay? So let's just put Object Trader on and see if we can get something on this. We're in replay mode, so what we'll do is we'll just put Object Trader on the chart. Hopefully I don't lock up. And we'll go ahead and take this box off, obviously, because it won't fire, but a region box will. Okay, now region actually likes to draw like near little swings and things, so you can obviously size it, do whatever you want with it, okay? And you could do something like this right here, okay? And I would want to absolutely close above this little resistance area, and I always look to the left to trade the right. There's a little swing right across here too, just to the left. It's just a tad higher, not much. Maybe change that to like 1 tick higher, something like that. And if you see to the left, you might even say, well, you know what, if this is really going to break up, I might want it to take out, 1584.70. But then you get to where you're actually chasing a trade too. Okay, so let's see if we can get something. We'll just do a couple. We'll put it in like 8 times mode or something like that, so it'll at least fire something. So once it breaks support, you would go short. Well, you can, Lewis. Now keep in mind that the way to do that is if you take it, for instance, when it breaks, you're usually going to get a little thrust, then it's going to come back and kiss, and then it's going to roll. But sometimes they will break and they will just go. And the thing is, if they just break and go, you're going to miss it. But I would say, in my estimate, that more than likely they usually break and come back and kiss. Well, just like this one did here, to give an example. See where this broke resistance right here and came back and kissed? Could you have taken that? Yeah, you could. But keeping in mind that anything above mid-band on a long is a little bit riskier. Basically, at or below mid-band on a long or at or above mid-band on a short is usually your best bet. Okay? Now, if you didn't want to take this trade right here, just in case they just faked it, see, they're trying to break. See, they did break, okay? But now keep in mind that more than likely what they're going to do, though, is what they usually do, and that's to break, come back and kiss. And I would probably, more than likely, be willing to take this trade if it came back and kissed. Because, see, that's support that is now resistance. Okay? See, like that. Now, that may get us a trade. It may not. Within 2 ticks, touch. And then it needs to go the other way. Out of it, because it's, see, there you go. Okay? So we're still in the red so far, right? Okay? Now, does that make anybody nervous as of yet? Because, it does me a lot of times, because anybody, anytime you're trading, you're looking at that P&L. And of course, the first thing out of your trade, you want to be in the green. Okay. Now this, we took a little breakout. We're up like $50. Okay. It looks like about 100 and something. So I would probably buy to cover to at least cover 2 of those, simply because that way you're not going to really go too much more into the red if this does decide to retrace a little higher, like right here where it broke down. Okay. And I would probably do something like that and see if I could get my trade added again if, for instance, it goes into stealth and rolls over. Okay? Now, that's what I like to see on a good trade like that. See how this actually, well, let's just look at it. Let's get rid of these lines. So we basically broke here. See, we're breaking here just a little bit. Okay? We're trying to come back and kiss. And if you draw on your charts, this is like your identified swing here. And then to the left, there's an identified swing right there. Okay? So this is like a little sweet spot that more than likely, if this is going to continue rolling, that it's going to hit in that little area right there. Okay? Now what we can do if you want to see if this will really do this is we'll just go ahead and change this chart to our regular chart, because it'll keep those lines and everything that I just drew. Let's see what it looks like. Give it just a minute. There we go. Okay, did it keep my little boxes? Okay, why didn't you keep my little boxes? I should have kept my lines and everything. That actually should have. Okay, we're actually kissing like a little resistance area at mid-band, like it's trying to roll over anyway. Now keep in mind, I lost my object trader too. Don't do that, by the way, if you're actually in a trade, because here's what'll happen to you. If you do what I just did, you're actually still in a position. Don't do that, because what you would want to do is flatten everything, or flatten at least that position, and then get ready to go again. Because just because I turned object trader off on that chart does not mean that the trade was gone. Okay, so that's kind of a no-no. You don't change a template or anything else while you're in a trade. Okay, let's see if we can get this trade again. We drew on our charts. A little resistance. Okay, they can't take this out if they're going to head down. They got a little swing right under here. And they've got another swing. They've already tested that one. This is kind of sloppy. There's one right there, though. Nope, it's already tested that one. So let's go to this one right here. See it right there? And let's see if we can get a little trade, since they haven't tested that one. See if we get something. This looks like a pretty decent little trade. See how that kissed where it hadn't checked before? Now, I could have blown through it, so obviously I'd want to go ahead and have my stop, maybe even for a reverse, very possibly, if it took out this top line. Because see, on the left side of the chart, this is my lightning. And see on the right side how it double bottomed, technically trying to check resistance levels and stuff. Okay. Now, another way to take this trade, by the way, if you don't trust this little trade here, because, this could be like catching a missile that's trying to start heading up. Okay. It doesn't look like it is, though, does it? And by the way, that's a little micro swing right there. I could even turn that on. Well, I would have gotten it. Didn't get it, but we would have. I guess we did, because that was actually still short, so we're in 5. Okay. So anyway, another thing to look for, see how this stealth is starting to turn red right here? You'll see that continually after these trend changes. Let me see if I can find one. Like right here even, see your first stealth, second stealth, and down she goes. This was first stealth, unfortunately. Second stealth still went up, you're okay, but that left a lot of trade on the table. And then here's first stealth, second stealth, got a trade. First stealth, second stealth, didn't get a trade, and then it went red again. And then over here, let's see. First, second, that one got a trade. First, second, that one got a trade. And if you wanted to, you can actually even do like a stealth type trade. I'll just go ahead and close this out, and I'll show you how to do a stealth trade on here. If this goes back through stealth again, if this closes, now we already got a stealth, so we may not get another stealth. We're going to find out here in a second. If not, I'm going to fire it anyway, because see the stealth right there. And it's also right at resistance, like so. Will this give us another stealth? We'll find out. I don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and sell it. Because see, it kissed resistance. That was my second stealth right there. So that bar close is good enough for me. So I'm going to go ahead and take it. Okay, because that's a second stealth right there. All right. Now let's manage the trade now. Okay, we got in at the proper spot. We drew on our charts and everything. Oh, we already got rid of our other chart. Sorry about that. Our little black chart that we like. Okay, now I would put my stop just above this swing for right now. And granted, you might actually go in the red. We're in the red right now, okay, because we started the chart over. Let's see what this does. And today's going to be as much about getting out of the trade also. I want y'all to tell me, for instance, where to get out of this trade. Sorry about that. Somebody's calling in. I won't answer it. Okay, I turned that off. Everybody see this right here? Now, let me ask you a question. If you were looking at this chart and this was in real time, okay, where would you put your stop on this chart? Now, I don't personally, like I said, and I've said this 100,000 times probably, I don't like to use mid-band as my stop on the larger, like the gold and the oil. Because to me, from phantom to mid-band, that doesn't look like a long ways, but if you count the dollars that goes to, that's 24 ticks times $5 times 10 since I'm in 2. So that's a $240 pullback if I wait all the way to mid-band. How many of you do that? Very, very few of you, right? Now, keep in mind that in the morning, to give an example, let's say that the market's just been going pretty crazy and you got your first retrace. Now, those you can trust quite a bit more because to give an example, if this was to be more in the morning where we open, the room and everything, they'll get that thrust, that retrace in the mid-band, a beautiful mid-band rollover, and down she goes again. Okay. But a lot of times, if you put your stop even at mid-band, it'll close right above it. If you put your stop, at like line 5, then you're giving up 30 ticks. You see what I mean? In other words, on a short. Because phantom, remember, this is actually a 48 tick area right here from top of the phantom to bottom of the phantom. So wouldn't a smarter place to put your stop be lightning? Because isn't the whole rule about lightning that if this decides to break this little swing right here, to give an example, see where my cursor's at? Or this one for sure, wouldn't I want to be out of this trade? See, on this one over here, I definitely want to be out on this right here. Because if this is going to go up, I expect it to come down a little bit, maybe even close, and then go back up again. Never taking out the swing, otherwise it's no longer an uptrend. Okay? So, where would this quit being a downtrend? Well, right now, it is at mid-band because that's where your lightning swing is. Everybody see that? Okay, but let's just see if we can get this thing where everybody knows just exactly where to get out of it. Okay? Let's just watch it and see if we can figure it out. I'm going only one time, so I'm going to see if I can get this one shown to you. Because couldn't you use power meter? See how power meters are all green? Pardon me, red. Okay. Now this came up and kissed a predictor. You did not take out your lightning swing. Now see, that actually is higher than the mid band on this particular trade. Now if they've got a lightning swing like that, I will usually even go above mid band. With one usually, not with two. Okay. So you have a little thrust, retrace, still lower highs, right? Still lower highs. Okay, you're right at a predictor. Let's look to the left to trade the right. You're also right at support. Barely taking it out, right? Taking it out a little bit. So couldn't you actually use your lightning swings? Now, when they thrust like this, I'm a little bit more cautious about using lightning swings because my lightning swing's all the way up there. That's all the way from 72.60 to 75.80. That's 30 ticks. 2 contracts, that's a $300 bill. Well, you've made $10.90, so do you want to give $300 of that back? You could actually use predictor, absolutely. But keep in mind there's another way to do it too, and that is, watch your little support levels, for instance. See that there's a support level that it broke. Here's another support level that it broke. Okay, so if that was to come up above that support level or that support level, you'd probably want to get out of this trade. wouldn't you think? That's what I personally like to do. Okay. Now, you can also watch power meter, but remember, power meter has to have a bar up, which it just got, a bar down, which it hasn't gotten, and another bar up to make that change green. It's just literally like a little 1, 2, 3 reversal. Okay. And then look for another place to get in. You could do that, absolutely. Okay. Now, when they've done this type of a move, how many of you are a little bit leery of just jumping back in short? Because that's a good habit to get into. If you see these monster moves like this, you don't have to just jump back in this thing, the very next short. Let it go higher, to give an example, on your short. Like, for instance, where is the swing that would make the difference of whether this goes up or not? What's right there? Everybody see that? So if it hits there and rolls, wouldn't you short it again? Lewis, on your question, let's see, would that go for it also where you get out above where you pointed out the prior high? A little confused on that. Well, draw your lightning even, Lewis, on that. Let me show you. I hope I've got the right color. No, I've got it in red. But you can clearly see, anyway, and I apologize for this being in red, but see the little swings? See how each one of them is lower, lower, and then you got one here, it's still lower than that one. So this is your identified swing right here, right now anyway, on the left side of the chart. Okay, let's speed it up and see if we get one on the right side of the chart. Now we've got one on the right side of the chart. See it right there? See how you have a low, you have a high, and you have a lower low. It closed below that swing. So if I wanted to protect this, I could actually just simply turn on my lightning and not lose out on this thing so much. For instance, if that goes green, seeing it just did, then I'm out of the trade, and I didn't want to go long. Oh, I did bar close. Sorry about that. Well, we got to trade long, so I guess that's okay. I didn't plan on that going long on that, so let's take it off. Okay, everybody see that? Now, where is this thing actually going to change directions if it does decide to? Okay, because you've always got to be looking at your charts and see, just like we did up here earlier, where was it going to change to the short side? Well, we knew it was up here at this support, right? It came down below it, kissed it, rolled over, even kissed it again, rolled over again, which is a lot of times what they do. Okay, but isn't this actually still a short until it takes this swing out on the left? Okay, because you're going to be looking at a little bit more of your secondary type swings like this. You've got your low, your high, your much lower low, right? On the right hand side though, you did break resistance. Okay, and we just missed that rollover, but no big deal. Everybody sees the rollover, I'm sure. Okay, let's see if we can get in another short trade. I'm gonna have to slow this down a little bit. There it is right there, by the way. Everybody see that? It's pretty much right in through here. Let's see if we can get a white predictor. Phantom trade maybe. Okay, looking to the left to trade the right. That's a swing, so a lot of times they'll barely take that out. They shouldn't take this one out. That's like a secondary swing. So if they get anywhere in this little area like this, I would probably more than likely short them again. Okay, because this is like first time into phantom after a trend change. It's about an 85% probability trade. Now, if this decides to just literally bust up above, let's go ahead and diagnose it the other way, just in case. We know where our short is, but we also got to know where our long is. Okay, so thrust, retrace, thrust. I won't count this little swing here because it's a little smaller. So that's our low, that's our high. So if they decided to go up, I would expect them to do this. I want them to break. I want them to pull back. Anywhere in an area that it broke out from, and then take off again. Okay. Otherwise, I want to actually look for a short trade. I think we just missed it because I had the line drawn. We should have shorted it, right? Let's just see if this doesn't work out just exactly like we're drawing on the charts. That's going up a little higher. So could we get ready to box this in to the short side? Anybody? You want to try it? Region. And we're not looking for longs yet, remember, because it's got to break and pull back. So we're going to simply look for a short outside that box. And if it gives us a smaller box, you know, like for instance, if it goes up, okay, see it's bar up, bar down. There's like a little 1, 2, 3 reversal right there. Everybody see that? Bar up, bar down, bar up. You don't have to wait all the way down here. This is still looking for a short so far. Okay? So let's see if we can get it. Now, if it does break up above here, you notice that I don't have my long on. So it's not going to hurt me. I'm not trying to take a breakout here. Now, if it does break out, then power to it. We'll get it on the flip side when it actually retraces. Okay, let's see if we can get this one. Okay, we got our short. Now, this is actually making me a little bit more nervous because, see, you're getting a higher low right here. Let's see if this actually holds at resistance. Okay, you got a little resistance right there, which is not holding at just yet, right? I would probably, more than likely, just the way that acted, I'd get out of that trade. But let's just see if they break support again right there at that line. It's because I'm only in one. Now remember, we haven't gone long yet, although it's looking like it's getting ready to. See if we can get a little trade. Now remember, if this busts up, I'm going to go ahead and protect this though. I don't like that unless that actually holds. This, there we go. Just got 3. And be ready to protect your trade, because if this pops above this area right here where resistance was, I would probably more than likely long inside. Let's see if we get the rest of our trade or if we get flipped on this. No flip yet. Now look at your lightning forming on here. Lewis, on your question from earlier, see your lightning, your high, your low, your lower high, your lower low. So far this is still a downtrend, but where would this actually, just like I showed on that black chart just a few minutes ago, where would this actually more than likely change to the other direction if it does decide to? Let's watch it and see. Okay, you got a high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So isn't this lightning right here? So your high, your low, your lower high. Now, usually what I do in a case like that, I'll draw my swing to the left. I'll look over here and I'll see another resistance area. So I'm probably not going to take this thing long until it takes out this resistance, which was also our little box that we had drawn. So let's see if we get this. And keep in mind too that I can still try to go for this target right here. Okay? But anytime they start taking out these swings like this, see how this barely took this out even by 1 or 2 ticks? That is usually, and I've seen this 1,000 times. Let me get rid of some lines and I'll show you. This is usually what happens on this. See this little swing that was identified, right? See how it barely took it out? Now, that would be a breakout trade for some people that take breakout trades, and they'll kill you on those. Okay, but notice that did take out my little swing to the left. So what they normally do is they thrust, they retrace, and then they break. Okay, now we won't know that for a little bit if this continues taking out these swings. Okay, but that's also why we get ready to box them in just in case they do. Okay, and if it changes lightning, this would be a high, a low, lower high, lower low. So on this side, if this was like a high, a low with a higher low, and then broke this area up here, I would probably go the other way. Okay, so let's see what it does. It's like 8 o'clock at night. Never trade this time of night. I'm usually relaxing, watching some TV, and getting some Skype calls and things like that occasionally. Everybody see that breaking up? Okay, now that's actually trying to break up, isn't it? It's absolutely trying. So isn't this an area that we would probably box this in again? Okay, so since this has got a low right through here, that looks like it's going to break up for sure. We got a long just then. So we're long on this right now, right? Now this is a little bit riskier trade, but notice how we figured that out. You look to the left to trade the right. They took out the identified swing over here to the left. They came up with a higher low, more than likely about a 76% retracement, usually is on the money. Usually when they do these small moves and then pull back and they don't take out the lows, they'll either bounce at 61 or 76. And you can usually take that to the bank. Now, if this is actually going to break up, like I said, this is a little bit riskier trade right here. So what other trade would you be looking for? Anybody? Well, let's just kill it and see if we can get another trade. I'm just going to kill it because we don't care about anything except what is happening on our chart. So let's see if we can figure out another trade. That must be lightning one. Okay, so they busted up above here. Okay. You got a high, a low. You still haven't gotten a higher high yet, so this has got to break and pull back to do it conservatively. There you go. There's your break. Right? There's your break. Now keep in mind, we were already long on that, so we had a good trade, but let's just see if we can get in this thing again. All right, so we got support right here. High, low, higher, high. See if we can get in. And I'll bet you we can, because they usually do. Okay, this is what we call, whoa, that's really close right there. See that? Bounce off our mid-band like that. Let's give it one more shot. Hopefully we'll get it, because I would have already taken that with one. Usually what you want to, by the way, is an A, a B, and a C. Now, an A, B, C means that it will take out this little swing. For instance, like right through here. This should actually get ready to bounce here pretty shortly. Okay? So what I would probably do in a case like this, I'd turn on bar close and see if we can get us in a little trade. And they're right on top of where it broke out. Look at that. So I would take that. There it is. See, just like we call them in the room. It came all the way down to where it had never checked. Thrust, retrace, didn't check it. They'll check them usually, and it did check it. So I'd be in that one for sure. Okay, now you want to see if we can figure out how to stay in this one and when to get out, just like we did on the other. All right, let's look. First off, I would probably take some off if it hits this little swing here. They'll usually wick it, so I could more than likely get at least that. And I put my stop right under there. Okay, everybody's seeing how to enter these trades? An aggressive way and also a conservative way. The aggressive way was just watching to the left to see when we actually got a break. Okay, and then watching for the pullback, taking the mid-band type trade. Okay, and just remember, what I personally like to do is I don't like it to go all the way to mid-band if I can help it. And lightning can be a really good friend on that. Okay, so let's watch lightning and let's see if we can get, we've got a low, we have a high, we have a higher low, we have a higher high. So where's our identified swing? It's right there. Could you put your stop just under there? Yes. This swing is not identified just yet. Now it is. Everybody see that? That's your swing now. So could you protect it like that? Absolutely. How high is this thing going to go? We don't know yet. Let's look to the left to trade the right. There's a good resistance area right there at 78.60. What do you think? I bet it hits its head there. Let's see. We'll turn on lightning. Short and get out of the trade if it hits resistance and then rolls. Now, if you're a gutsy trader and you see something like this and it just like goes above it and then right back down through it, you can short that, but be very, very careful when you do because you could be catching a missile. And we're long, so we're not actually trading short on this, are we? Lightning red. That should actually pretty soon, that, let's see, that did a bar up, a bar down, a bar up, a bar. That should actually, on the close of that bar, I would think, on my PM. Otherwise, it's looking all the way down here, and I don't like that. Because, see, lightning actually looks in different circumstances on the right side of the chart, but it also looks at the left. See if we can get, we're still okay. We did get a lightning down for some reason, so we're flat. Okay. Now, if you do take this little trade right here, what I would highly recommend that you do is only take it if it goes up through it and then comes back down through it and forms like a little lightning. Okay, you want to try a quick little scalp if we can get that. The way to do that would be watching resistance, turn on short PMI, which is what you'd be doing. We must have hit our target, didn't we? Let's see if we can get, because this whole chart is still pretty much short so far, except for this nice side over here that is long, but we are at resistance, a good level. I would definitely take a chance of shorting that myself on a separate chart. And by the way to do that, if you want to really do it quickly, is when it's under the line, just absolutely sell it, you know, like that, and then put your stop just really, really tight. Because if that pops up again, you just get out. But it would cost you $10 with your broker too. Let's see if it works. Got it on exit on close. Don't like that it went back above my line. See if it'll go back below it before it closes. We're good. See what I did? I just shorted resistance. Now, when you short resistance like that, I'd highly recommend just doing like a little 10-tick trade, and that didn't work then. Let's try it one more time. Except we're going to try it now only if it takes this out right here, which it basically is right now. Should have shorted right there. That's okay. Let's go for a long now. Let's see if we can figure out where it's at. This is a new day, by the way. All right, so let's look and see where they've been and where they haven't been. I'm going to draw them, and y'all tell me where this is already checked and where it hadn't checked. Has it checked there yet? No. I'm drawing this by hand so you can kind of see it a little bit better. Okay, from this side you're starting to break your lightning, right? Okay, so let's see where they haven't checked yet. They haven't checked here. Everybody see that? They haven't checked there. They haven't checked, let's see, where else? Retrace, maybe here. And that one did bounce, didn't it? See that? They hadn't checked that. And they haven't taken, there's a predictor, by the way. You want to try it? Let's try it since it's off a predictor, because predictor's pretty accurate. I'm going to take a chance on it. Put my stop right in the middle of predictor. High, low, higher, high. We expect a higher low. That is a higher low. It is checking like a little support level that it did the day before. So let's see if that works. And we will go with wherever predictor tells us to. See if it works. And don't you expect a higher low? Okay, so you have a low, a high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low again, right? That's your higher low again. And then you just got to be ready to diagnose your chart. Okay, so if you missed this trade, to give an example, where would you jump back in? Anybody? You should be able to see it by now. Let's look to the left and see. Let's just say you weren't even in anything just yet. Got a swing right here. Got a swing right here, barely. Let's see if we can get it. Midband's a pretty good place to look. Let's see if we, that looks like the swing to me that it hadn't checked. Let's try it. See there? Bounced right off a swing that it hadn't checked. Okay? Now, looking at your chart, let's just kill this because you need to always know where the trade is going. Let's go ahead and get rid of all the lines. And let's look at this chart. Let's just pretend you got up at midnight to trade, and this is what you're seeing. Okay, everybody? All right. Matter of fact, right now it looks like we're in a range, right? From here to here. Okay, so we have a low, high, higher, low, higher, high. Hasn't taken out the swing yet, right? So right here is a swing in the middle, like so, right? So if this was to decide to break that, would you kind of expect it to kiss it? That's what you'd be looking for. Now, on the flip side of it, what you'd be looking for would be they haven't tested here. See it to the left? They haven't tested right there. So if they bounced off that midband, you could get ready to take it long. Or if you were more of a conservative trader, you're going to do this. You're going to draw a line. You're going to wait for it to break. You're going to wait for the pullback. And then you're going to take it. Okay? That's more of a, not buying the thrust, so to speak. You would want to get the thrust, get the pullback, and then take it. Otherwise, a gutsy trade is right here if it breaks. That's your lightning swing, and you'd be looking for this. And let's see which one it does. Everybody see that? Looking at lightning always. Basically what you're looking at, think of it as a set of stairs. Because that's truly what you're actually looking at. You're walking upstairs and you're walking downstairs. So you have a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. Okay, so you could draw that in your mind or even draw it with your, with your little line. So isn't that lightning right there? And then if this was to do it again, now this is too shallow to me. I don't like this trade. If you're going to take this trade right here, I'd highly recommend, let's say for instance, you decided, you know what, I think I'll take this trade right here if it bounces, but you've only got to there. So if you get in on the bar close, you've only got like 3 ticks. I don't like that trade. Okay. Now I do like if it comes down below stealth and gets a green stealth again. Okay, but that would be more like this, where it thrusts up, pulls back, and goes. All right, so let's speed this up because we're just about out of time, but we've got 10 minutes. Let's just see what this did. See there? What did that actually do with me drawing on the charts? Now, will it do it to the tick? No, and it actually did when it showed this little wicked one right here, because that was then a swing from this to this to this. See what I mean? Like this, this, and this. So that was technically your line that should hold, and it did. Okay, just wicked, it's all. So isn't this actually looking more like this could very well go down, because you came down below, you kissed it, you rolled over, you got a trade. You kissed the little swing, you rolled over, and you got a trade. Now, a way to take this and not be what I consider to be aggressive would be to wait for the break and the pullback. So let's draw that one also. Let's see if it hits it. If it doesn't, it'll be amazing to me, because they usually do. All right, so we have support right here. We have support right here. Okay, so this is a little sweet spot that more than likely, if this does decide to break, it's going to more than likely come back and kiss. Okay, it's already kissed this little swing area right across here. So, we've already checked this one. I'll just draw the lines. You check this one. Sometimes they get a little sloppy. You got to really, really think about it. Check that one there to the left. It hasn't checked this one here, but that's technically checking it with those. So now what we're looking for, if this is going to break, will be a breakdown, a pullback. We are getting a red background, by the way, and a rollover. Okay, and I would expect for it to break down, pull back into possibly even here. So this is our sweet spot. Let's see if we can get it. We won't trade it. We'll just see if it gets it. All right, kiss some resistance again. Kiss some resistance. Okay, rolled over. Rolled over. There you go. You're getting it. See how it's kissing my line? Kissed it again. There, it kissed my top one. See how they do? Okay, we drew that just like we do in the room ahead of time before all this chopping and everything went up. But did you notice where it tested? Within a tick or two, it tested here too. So could you have actually taken this trade even when, for instance, when it broke and came back and kissed this line, which was on this bar, and it came down a little bit, then it tested your patience, which they always do, but it never took out that resistance to the left. Let's see what the trade did. I'll bet it dropped like a stone. Now, what if you missed this trade? Did you see another trade just set up? Anybody? I saw it. If you drew your line right there, see where it broke down again, came back and kissed, rolled over. See that? Same thing. Broke, kisses. Broke, kisses. So if you were in this trade, where would you think the next trade is on this chart? Just set up. Did you see it? Came right into the area of previous resistance, gave a lower high, mid-band trade. Could you take this trade? And the answer is actually yes. Now, if you missed it already and you haven't taken a scalp, I'll show you where I would get in it. Let's see where they've tested so far. I'm going to get rid of lines, and we're going to see where they've tested so far. They tested there, so they shouldn't have to go back up there, should they? Have they tested here? Nope. But you've got a swing over here that they shouldn't be able to take out either. So, always look to the left to trade the right, because you need to know where the trend is. Okay? See how this came down, up, and all this? Well, this is like a little swing area, so I don't expect them to take that out. And you can see that if you draw lightning. See there? That's a swing. That's a low. That's a lower low. That's a high. That's a lower low. So that's your primary swing. That's your secondary swing. They usually don't mess with the secondary swing, and you can usually short that right there. But let's just see if we can get in it based on any other criteria. Let's see if we can get in. Okay, let's look to the left to trade the right. They've already checked this swing. Let's see if they check. They've already checked that one too. See it right there? Checked it. So this to me would still be a little sweet spot that more than likely will get a trade. It just kissed midband again. Notice how they did that quickly? That's usually a good indication too. Usually when I see that, I usually go ahead when they hit resistance and do that. I usually short it. Now, could this be a risky trade? Yes, because we could also be catching a missile, right? But this is still a downtrend so far, and all they did is they checked our little resistance area that I drew my lines at. Now, if you're more of a conservative trader, what you want to do is you want to wait. See, you've got a high, low, higher high, barely. So right across here is your little box. Everybody see that? So could you just do this instead? And the answer is yes, but it's a little bit more of a conservative trade. Now, I'm not going to go long. Okay, matter of fact, if they go up here, I would probably still short them because they haven't checked that yet. See it right there? So we'll go ahead and go short out of that little box right there. Everybody see that? We'll put our stop just above the swing, just in case they're not through. We'll get our target out of the way. Could we actually take another trade on here? Anybody? Let's use the same analogy and see if it works. Now keep in mind, when this will quit working is when they take out the swing to the left. They haven't taken out your secondary swing to the left. Okay? And when they don't take out that secondary swing to the left, as a rule, they do hold. So let's see if everybody in here can figure out where my next trade is, because I already see it, and a lot of our people do. Okay, because I'm going to show you where it's at. Let's just draw our little support area over the left. And right here. All right, and let's see, let's just pretend you're not even in this trade at all. And I'm going to draw a little box here. And you tell me if this doesn't get us a trade somewhere right in there. And that's unless we decide to start heading up. Lightning can go high, low, higher, high, but you'd have to break this. So you just got it. Okay, now you're coming back to test. This is the area that you should be looking for the short. See it? I just shorted that. Reason I shorted that is because it kissed my resistance right there. Everybody see that? That's the best way to know where to get in a trade. Now keep in mind, I'm also, in my mind, I'm saying I've got a low, I've got a high, I've got a higher low over here, I've got a higher high, barely, okay? But you've got to know that they're doing ABCs and then they roll, okay? And for this to have ever gone long, this is what I would have expected. I would have expected a break and a pullback. Maybe not that high. You just got to kind of put it in your mind where you want it to break up and then pull back. Okay, but it didn't do that. So see how perfectly that I got in that trade just a second ago? And my stop would have been right here, so I had like an 8-tick stop on that. That can't hurt you. You know, with 5 contracts, it certainly could, but with, you know, a couple or one even, it doesn't, right? Okay. Now, real quick before we exit the webinar today, tell me why I couldn't stay in this trade as long as my micro lightning's holding. High, low, lower high, barely lower low. Technically doesn't identify this swing. It's more right up here instead right now. Okay. As soon as this closes below with a good close bar, I'll even use this swing or this swing. That's your secondary swing right there. Everybody see that? And then let's just watch it. Isn't that a swing? Did you know we got an app for that too, by the way? Let me show you a little trail stop that we've got. Let me slow this down just a little bit. I'm going to show you a trail. Trail 1 is lightning. Okay. And if you want to see the lightning swing, what you do is you just hit your space bar, and that's where it's saying that your lightning swing is. See it right there? So that's where your stop would be. Now you can offset it just a little bit. I usually like to do that. And then that way you can trust this lightning swing as it heads down. Okay? Because then you can simply do your stop, enable it, and it goes all the way down there. See that? Now what if I wanted to do like a 3 swing strength or something? Well, be careful going too high because you'll get to these high swings. You know, because markets move, you know, pretty much in these lightning swings is what they do. Okay? Now this is actually coming up a little bit. Let's see if this lightning swing holds, just for the fun of it. Let's just see if it holds. This is basically past trading time anyway, but let's just see. We're using the lightning swing as our stop. Tried to get it. Still testing resistance. Rejected resistance, and down you go. Everybody see that? See how we've got everything built into our tools and everything so that what you see in real time you can actually even put on your chart as a stop even. Now watch this actually drop here in a minute. It'll drop down to here pretty soon. Should anyway. Not yet. That's a 2 swing strength, so it's a little stronger. See if it'll drop down there. There you go. See how it dropped? So our stop is in, and we're good to go, aren't we? And how far did this thing drop? I don't know. Does anybody have any idea how far it dropped? Let's just see. We may get stopped out. We may not. We'll just find out. Look at that. Stopped right there. Going to get you. Gotcha. Everybody see that? You can use that little stop right there if you want to. That's called lightning stop, and that's based on these right here. If you're patient enough to wait for the pullback to lightning 2, your stop never has to be more than 6 or 10. I agree. I agree, Adam. I like that myself because the whole idea is that, you know, just like I showed these trades with these lines and everything, you know, you know where they're coming back to. For instance, when this broke down through this support right here, okay, don't they usually break and then they'll come and kiss and then they roll? See how this one broke this little support here and it kissed and then it rolled? You know, they're just constantly doing that. And they'll do it to the upside too. You want to just check? I got a little bit more data. Where's the trade on this chart? What do you think? I just saw it. What do you think? Well, let's get rid of lightning real quick. Okay, you have a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. So you even got your green background. So aren't you looking for longs on this chart right now? And hopefully the answer is yes, right? So which swing have they not checked? What do you think? Let's check it and see. I'll speed it up. We're not going to take a trade, but I just want to see if it gets it. Didn't come down to that one yet. There's another mid-band trade. What do you think? Got to make quick decisions. See how it came down and checked that swing right there? Now keep in mind that you'd already be in these trades, right? I'm trying to draw. If they don't come down, for instance, that was a little micro one. And then if you happen to get another one drawn when it takes out a high, you got to move your line. So see, you could actually be in this trade right here. Okay, you want to see if we can get one more? Let's see if we can figure it out. One more and then we'll be done. Okay, right now, let's look to the left, trade the right. Check this swing here, right? It has not checked this swing over here to the left, but that's under mid-band. They haven't checked this swing right here. See your thrust, retrace thrust. So more than likely they'll test that. They can't take this out if they're going to head up right here. So don't you think more than likely that that's another sweet spot? You want to bet? Let's just look. I'm going to speed it up a little bit. See if we can get a trade. Bingo. See it? See it come down on top of that swing and then bounce off of it? Could you have taken that trade there? And the answer is yes. You want to see if it'll even work now? I'll just chance it for just to the top of that swing. Let's just see if it does. There you go. Now we should have gotten it down here though where I drew my line, right? Because you're always looking to the left to trade the right. Micro and medium. Now will you get every single trade right? And the answer is probably no. But if you draw on your charts, where has this not checked even so far? Let's look to the left to trade the right. They haven't checked this swing right here. They checked this one. They took it out a little bit. This is not a downtrend. See your high, your low, your higher high, higher low, higher high, secondary swing. Okay, so could you actually box this in? Let's see. We'll do a touch plus 2. See if we can get a little trade. There you go. Higher low. Don't we expect higher highs? So see how it comes down. It doesn't necessarily come down exactly to a swing. And that's one of the problems with 4-range bars is there's a lot of swings. And you got to kind of look at them to see which one's more important. Okay? Let's see if we can get that again. I'm not sure exactly why that. Oh, no, it didn't have short on. I'm not sure exactly. Oh, our stop, duh. We got it at lightning. You got to untrail that stop. That's really, really important. When you get out of a trade and go back into another one, untrail that auto trail. Because that will, if you're going long, to give an example, and you're doing it right out of a little breakout, put a little bit more offset. See where it might end up, and then like see right there where that's at. I could go ahead and go under it just a little bit, like so, and then I could trail it. There, we just got it. Everybody see that? Look to the left to trade the right. Will change your way of trading. I can guarantee you it will. Always know, when it's going to change trends, when it takes out these swings to the left, you can pretty much tell. You get our green backgrounds and everything. Now, let's see. Can you show me again checking the swing? I think I know, but not sure. Lewis, I'll tell you what. On Monday's webinar, we're going to be talking about the 5 trades that I like. I'll go over, because one of my favorites is Kiss Trade. And that's what I pretty much taught today. It's not night. Okay? Now, if you were trading this like right now, and you were looking at this chart, what do you think is actually going to happen? Can you tell by looking at it? Well, let's look to the left to trade the right. Well, we're 10 minutes over. Here's a swing right over here to the left. It just hit it a minute ago. So is this going to continue going up? Well, it could, but remember, if it takes out resistance and comes back down through it, you could also very possibly get ready to short it too. I always like to look at those large swings like that. Remember, I draw them in the room all the time. Will they work? Well, lots of times they will. They take that swing out, short it when it comes back through it. Put the stop nice and tight, just in case. Well, we got a scalp. Okay, and we had our little stop on too. Remember, your stop on long is down here. Your stop on short's up here. Always be sure to turn this thing off right here. You know, if I wanted to sell that again, to give an example, like right there, I'd put my stop just above the swing. Yep, that one got me. That's all right. I didn't wait for lightning either. Lightning is right under here. So you always got to look to the left to trade the right. Don't go cowboying around either like I just did just then, because this thing's going straight up. The resistance didn't hold. But if resistance doesn't hold and you get a scalp and then you get one taken out, you're still probably pretty much at break even. All right, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks very much for coming to it. And we'll do this again on Monday night. And we'll talk about the 5 trades. And I think most of you know what those are, but we'll go over those for the new people. And sorry I ran it about 10 minutes over. I don't normally like to do that. Anybody have any final questions before we wrap? This will be ready to view in about an hour, less than an hour, probably about 30 minutes. Can you get that auto trail to disable automatically when flat? You know, Peter, we actually had that before, and I think my programmer misunderstood what I was really wanting. So I could have that line taken out and we could go back to where you just manually, you know, enable it every time, because I agree with you. I forget it occasionally myself. How do you get the white trail box off the chart? Which white trail box? I'm not sure. Everybody see where that broke and then, you know, pretty much hit its head and then it's starting to head up again. You get your green. You know, could you actually trade this? Obviously, you can even trade these. I've got this going like 100 times, so we're not going to trade it. But could you actually have still jumped in? You know, for instance, we had our lines drawn. So could you have even jumped in here even? Yes. You absolutely could. All right, one more trade and we're going to go. See it right there? Saw it shooting for it. Why did I take that right there? Because it was perfectly on support. Always look to the left to trade the right. You got 4 trends on your charts. That's what I actually had in mind to begin with, Peter, was to have auto trail a true or false type thing. And that will be something that will definitely get added, because I don't like the idea of it having this automatically trailing myself. So yeah, I'll definitely take care of that next time. All right. Thanks everyone for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Meaning stealth lines, will they still show up as if the stealth was on? Well, if you have Object Trader on, stealth will show up. Anybody needs any help at all, just call me on Skype. All right. Thanks everyone.